All right, we are heading into week 10 of the NFL season, officially past the halfway mark. The trade deadline has just closed. So I'm ranking all 32 teams, 1 through 32. Let's not waste any more time. Let's kick things off with our bottom tier teams, teams 32 through 24. All right, Titans, clearly the worst team in the NFL. They are a dumpster fire, a disaster. And Cam Ward, maybe not getting a fair shake, but he has not looked good, and it's getting worse. The Jets at 31, complete fire sale on their bye week. Trade away Sauce Gardner, trade away Quinnen Williams. Some reason kept Breece Hall, but they got a haul in return. So the Jets, some positive vibes, I think, heading forward. They have 5 first-round picks over the next 2 drafts. Saints at 30, Tyler Shuck, not good, 50 years old and terrible. The Dolphins, I don't know how Mike McDaniel is going to finish the season, but they fire Chris Greer, the GM. They don't trade away their assets to pick up guys. They kept Waddle. They kept Bradley Chubb. Weird. Raiders at 28. You know what? Brock Bowers back in the mix, and the offense actually looked good. You could actually watch this team play football for 3 hours. Now, they lose the game. They go for 2. Pete Carroll, not great. Looks like he's not even doing anything out there. Giants at 27. We know the deal. They're injured. They're hurt. They suck. But Jackson Dart, maybe a guy. Cleveland on the bye. We'll see what the Browns do. It is the Browns. After all, Washington, their season is toast. Jaden Daniels done for the year. Why was he even in the game? They're getting ass waxed at home. But dislocated elbow, probably the best season-ending injury you could have got. Non-throwing elbow dislocation. And the Bengals at 24. Then this defense needs to go to jail, okay? They need to be charged. Call Cash Patel, call the DOJ. This is criminal what this defense does to this offense. Joe Flacco slinging the ball for 470. They hang 40 on the Bears, and they still can't win the damn game. Fire Zach Taylor. Fire everybody. This is a joke of a franchise. But let's move to our middle tier teams 23 through 16. Okay, Cowboys at 23. They do trade for Quinnen Williams, but what is that going to do for this team? The offense was a disaster. That's 2 games in a row. The offense really hasn't looked good. Penalties, blocking's bad. They haven't run the football successfully now for a few weeks, and we know how terrible the defense is. They still need cornerback help. I don't know what Quinnen Williams is going to do, and they're trading away their future NBA-ass trade with the best of their 2027 first-round picks. Cardinals at 22. Jacoby Brissett, now the starting quarterback. Kyler Murray, done. He will not be starting again for the Arizona Cardinals unless there's an injury. Offenses look so much better under him. He takes the short checkdowns. He moves the football. They can convert, and the defense has been pretty okay most of the year. Finally finished the game. Jacksonville at 21. They're the Jags. They're a pain in the ass to watch. Trevor Lawrence still very hit or miss. The run game hasn't been consistent the last few weeks. Defense was a sieve against the Raiders. Can't cover the tight end, but they did win, so good for the Jags. Chicago at 20. Look, the Bears won. I know the Bears have 5 wins. This is not a good football team, okay? They are just scraping by against the bottom of the barrel of the NFL. No business winning this game. However, there are some positive signs. Like I said, the vibe change with Ben Johnson is positive, and Caleb actually played a very good game for the first time in a while on Sunday. Now it was the Bengals. Atlanta at 19. Atlanta, feisty, good game, but of course, lose, miss the extra point. Peak Falcons against a good Patriots team. They blow that game. Drake London, though, breakout game. Again, we need to get more London involved. Bijan, kind of weird, but the Patriots are hard to run against. They did cut their kicker, thank God. Panthers at 18, the Panthers just might be a decent team, guys. They're 5-4. They beat the Packers. They dominated the Falcons. They win games at home. They're just feisty. Whatever it is with Bryce Young, they're running the ball great with Rico Dowdle, and the defense is not terrible. They don't give up big plays anymore. They kind of make teams move the ball down the field. Interesting, feisty team. Houston at 17. Defense is great. Offense, I think they would have won that game if CJ Stroud doesn't get hurt, but CJ Stroud got hurt. They're very beat up. The offensive line is bad. We'll see if they can hang on, but this is a must-win situation for them. And Davis Mills probably going to be starting for them this week at quarterback. And 16, my Minnesota Vikings. The J.J. McCarthy haters out there, silenced a bit, comes back, goes on the road to Detroit, and plays a pretty good football game. Has a great throw to seal the game on 3rd down. Really nice win. And the Vikings defense finally healthy, 100%. And they dominated this Lions offense. Under 65 yards rushing for Detroit. You don't see that often. And they abused Jared Goff. But let's move into it. Our top 15 teams heading into week 10. All right, 15. I got the Ravens here. Dominate Miami. Lamar comes back. They've now won 2 in a row here. The vibes are pretty good in Baltimore considering how bad things are. They are getting a little bit healthier. Now, the defense still isn't the best. We're going to have to see if they get pushed. Playing the Vikings this week, they have 10 days off. Good little challenge for them. And this offense, can they sustain a run game? Can we keep the run game going? Can Lamar keep moving the ball down the field? This is a very interesting challenge for Baltimore this week, but the vibes are good. Pittsburgh made things a little bit more difficult for them. I mean, because Baltimore was the favorite to win this division still going into the weekend. Pittsburgh made things a little bit more difficult, but it's a pretty favorable schedule for the Ravens. They could find themselves sneaking in to the AFC wildcard, especially with the injuries we've seen with the other wildcard teams in front of them. For right now, Ravens at 15, and they're trending in the right direction. Oh, great. I got the Chargers down a spot here at 14. Look, they lose Joe Alt for the season, so you lose both your all-pro tackles for the season. That's a devastating move. Now, they do make a trade right under the gun to acquire an offensive tackle from the New Orleans Saints, so that could help bolster the offensive line, because we've seen this team without Joe Alt and without Rashawn Slater, they were really bad in the middle stretches of this year, but Justin Herbert's playing at an elite level. The wide receivers are getting more involved, and we have a real tight end threat now with Oronde Gadsden. He's been a top receiver for the team for 3 weeks now. Defense, not great. Wasn't really their fault against the Titans. You give up a punt return. The offense gives up a pick 6. So that was 14 of the Titans, 20 points right there. So they did a relatively good job against a shitty offense. We'll see how the Chargers can hold it together. Omarion Hampton's looming back there. The run game really has dropped with Kamani Vidal. They're going to Patterson now mostly. So weird fluctuation with the Chargers, a ton of injuries, but Herbert's playing at an elite level. So that's going to keep this team afloat. Huge game on Sunday night against the Steelers. And speaking of the Steelers here at 13, like I said, they made things a little bit more difficult. A very nice win at home against the Colts, but the Steelers were playing all the hits, man. We had a punt bounce off the ground and hit the punt returner for a fumble. Daniel Dimes went back to a pumpkin over there. 5 turnovers for him. He fumbled 3 times, recovered 1. So 2 fumbles, 3 picks. It was a disaster, and they still only managed to win this game by 7 points. So it really wasn't the cleanest of games. The defense was really good, but this is still statistically one of the worst defenses in football. They'd given up 450 plus yards in back-to-back games for like the first time ever in Pittsburgh. So there's still a lot of question marks there. This team thrives on turnovers. They've had 2 games with 5+ turnovers, both wins, which you like to see, but they haven't been dominating, convincing wins in either of them. So kind of a weird warning sign still for the Steelers. Huge game against the Chargers out in LA. 2 teams jockeying for position. Both could be fighting for a wild card. Steelers still in first place in that AFC North with a little bit of a cushy league. So big win for the Steelers. Don't doubt Mike Tomlin, because when we bury him, he comes out and puts in a big performance. Steelers at 13. Okay, Packers down to 12. I've been trying to tell everybody for weeks and weeks, and I got a lot of shit. This is not a very good football team. This is like this is the bad good team. This team has a ton of flaws. This offense is not explosive. It's not dynamic. Stop telling me how good Jordan Love is, because he just ain't. That's one of the worst throws you're ever going to see, that 4th down throw. My God, is that laughable how bad that was. They aren't running the ball consistently with Josh Jacobs. They struggled to really do anything. The defense has been carrying this team, and they kind of got gashed by Carolina. This is one of the best run defenses in football. Rico Dowdle had a $150 and 2 tuds out there. Now, they didn't let them throw the ball for anything, but it's a little bit surprising. The defense, though, kept them out of the end zone. I mean, what they give up? 16 points? That's pretty good. You should win if you're the Green Bay Packers, giving up 16 points at home. So this team just not a cohesive unit. Matt LaFleur makes weird play calls and decisions, and they're just not a tight group, man. They just don't, there's no identity. What's the identity of this team? You have a bunch of weird number 2 receivers that think they're number 1s, but they're not really number 1s. You run the ball, but you haven't run it effectively. Josh Jacobs is looking a bit up there in age. And now you lose Tucker Kraft, who's been your best offensive weapon for the entire season. So Green Bay's in a weird spot. Now they do have the division win, so you feel good about that. They already beat the Lions, who they're chasing, who they're ahead of. It's weird, but the Packers they're lacking that juice for me here at number 12. All right, 49ers take care of business against the Giants here at 11. And, the Giants are bad. We know the Giants are bad, but they did their job. But, of course, the devil curse contract on this team continues. The only healthy person on this team on defense was Michael Williams, the rookie, and he tears his ACL. He's out for the season. So everybody is hurt. Everybody is dead. But Mac Jones has done a great job filling in. He made himself a ton of money next season. He will be a free agent. He will get signed to a very nice deal to start for somebody. Brock Purdy eventually going to come back. We think, is he going to be better now the way Mac's playing? I don't know. Christian McCaffrey is the key to this team. They're running the ball so much better now that George Kittle's back in the lineup. They can throw to McCaffrey in the passing game. Jawan Jennings still gritting it out there. Still no Ricky Pearsall. So if we can get some of these pieces back and keep some consistency, the Niners could be a feisty team in the postseason, but the injuries are just so devastating. The defense probably isn't going to be able to hold up the later they go, but they're right in the thick of it in the NFC West. Got the Rams again this weekend, and they beat the Rams. They'll have the tiebreaker, beating them twice on the year, so they're in a great spot. I expect this team to make the playoffs, but I think the injuries ultimately keep this team from having a Super Bowl level ceiling. Give me the Niners here at 11. All right, Patriots at 10. Patriots look great for the first 2.5 quarters of this game. Kind of struggled a little bit in the second half. It was ugly. They should have been tied, but sometimes life goes your way, New England Patriots fans. And Drake May was really good again, once again. They did lose Kayshon Boutte, which does hurt. He's a big deep threat guy out there, and Drake May is the best deep ball thrower in the NFL statistically this season. He's been lights out. There's still no consistency in the run game. Now, maybe if we get Ramondre back in there, we could see some more of that. TreVeyon Henderson, just, man, what happened to the guy we saw in the preseason? I know it was the preseason, but there's just no explosiveness from him. And the run game. Defense, great run defense. This is probably the best run defense in the NFL. Guys can't run over 55 yards against them. Like, they just don't allow guys to do that. They are lights out. Christian Gonzalez struggled against Drake London, which is surprising. He's one of the better corners in the league. So there are now some red flags for the Pats. They do stay pat at the trade deadline. Thought they would make a couple of moves there. Offensive line was a little shaky as well. But overall, solid Patriots team. And guess what? Already beat Buffalo in Buffalo, and they play the softest remaining schedule in the NFL. They still got to play the Potato Jets twice. It's going to be a very good season in New England. They're going to make the playoffs, I think, here at number 10. All right, Denver at number 9. You know, the Broncos, another cardiac win for the Broncos. Late game Broncos are good game Broncos, but this offense still was just so dreadful for like 2.5, 3 quarters. Really, 53 minutes of this game, Bo Nix sucked. He was Blow Nix, not Bo Nix, okay? But Bo Nix has been the king of the boot and rally, just sucks for 2.5 to 3 hours, and then has a great fourth quarter and leads them back to a victory. Defense did a pretty decent job. Now, I know CJ Stroud gets hurt in this one, but that helps when you have no Patrick Surtain out there. Helped them out a lot. Davis Mills did fine, but, doesn't have much of a shot. This is an elite pass rush. They are getting after quarterbacks like nobody's business, and that is the key to their success. And now you're going to have to keep that going with Surtain out for several weeks now. Not sure quite how long he's going to be, but it could be like a month or two for him. So critical thing for them. The receivers are whatever in Denver. The Bo Nix has been super inaccurate. He's been really bad this year. If you've watched the Bo Nix this year, he has not been good. He's not made that step. He's kind of regressed almost, but they are doing enough to win these games. The run game is pretty inconsistent as well, but when they do get the running game going, it's a very effective run game. I just want to see more of it. They're starting to unleash RJ Harvey in the passing game out of the backfield. That's a nice addition to this offense. Just another guy to think about here. But a weird Broncos team, and you can't live off of the cardiac comeback kids if you're a team like Denver, because that will catch up to you in the postseason against an equal opponent. Broncos here at number 9. All right, we got the Buccaneers here at 8. Unfortunately, life isn't fair on the bye. They dropped 2 spots, but this team is super injured. They need to get healthy. This team just can't run the ball at the level it ran the ball last year with Liam Cohen on the offensive coordinator spot, but they really can't run the ball without Bucky Irving. Need to get Bucky back. It looks like we're going to get Bucky back this week. That's a big help for this offense. Getting some offensive line pieces back. The wide receiver room, Chris Godwin needs to get healthy. He's struggling. We know Mike Evans is probably done for the year with them. So we need to see more consistency in the run game, get those receivers healthy. Baker's still playing at a very good level. Now, he struggled a little bit the last few weeks. Defense has gotten better. They are getting out there. But again, another team that's the cardiac kids. The only little edge I give to them is they are very well experienced. They've been in the playoffs forever now. They keep winning this division. So they do have this postseason experience, which is a thing when you go and play teams in tight games for them. So I do like Tampa Bay overall. Team that just needs to get healthier. They're well coached. They have a very good quarterback. Buccaneers here at 8. All right, this is a tough one. I'm going to put the Seahawks here at 7. I kind of thought about bumping them up one more spot here, but overall, this Seahawks team has been really, really good. Defensive side of the ball, we know is great. They just attack, attack, attack. And that's what Mike McDonald was brought in here to do with his defensive scheme. And Sam Darnold, little credit to Sam Darnold. He's playing a lot better than he played in Minnesota last year. He's been way more accurate with the football. Now, we did have that dumpster fire against the Texans with the too much turnovers, and their losses this year are because of 2 Sam Darnold turnovers late in the game. So that is a concern, Darnold in the playoffs, but that's neither here nor there. They have an excellent wide receiver in Jackson Smith and Jigba. Torrey Horton stepping in. He may have just put Cooper Kupp out to pasture out there. And the problem is the Seahawks can't run the football. We think the Seahawks can run the football. They cannot run the football. Now, they throw out a heavy personnel, which is hilarious. They're running 2 tight sets, and they're just slinging the rock all over the place, which is making teams think they're going to run the ball. But Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet have not run the ball at any sort of effective or efficient rate this season. So this is a weird Seahawks team, and they're in a tight NFC West battle. But I think the defense is going to do more than enough to carry them. And when Darnold does have his shaky turnover type games, their defense will be good enough. This is very similar to the Vikings of last year. I mean, if you look at it, it's almost a carbon copy with the offense, with the defense, and the lack of running success. But I think they're fooling teams enough to make them think that they can run the football still here. Seattle at number 7, and I think they're a very interesting team in the NFC. All right, at 6, I got the Indianapolis Colts. I may have bumped them up to 5 after they make a massive go-for-it trade. They trade for Sauce Gardner for the Jets, and that was the biggest weakness on this Colts team. Their secondary has not been good. Their pass defense has been very vulnerable, and they just instantly plug and play an elite NFL stop corner, which is a huge, huge help. Pass rush has been good. It's been tough to run against the Colts as well. So this is just upgrades everything. I think the Colts are way more dangerous now. Now, we saw Daniel Jones have his pumpkin game. He was a disaster for most of this game. I mean, 5 turnovers, put the ball on the deck 3 times, only lost 2 of them. They couldn't run the ball with Jonathan Taylor either. It was kind of weird. Now, the Steelers attacked them appropriately. They cut out the dink and dunk stuff. They dared Daniel Jones to be accurate on the deep ball, which he has hit almost all season. Didn't hit it this weekend. Now, they did come back. They did push them a bit, so you do like some of those signs later. It wasn't really that close, but there is some stuff there, and they only lost by 7 points. It's not the worst loss in the world on the road in Pittsburgh. They've been playing way too well. They're gonna run away with the AFC South, so they're gonna be hosting a playoff game, still in total contention for that number 1 seed in the AFC. So Colts maybe a little bit pump the brakes here, but teams lose. They're still a very good football team, and I love the Sauce Gardner addition. Paid a lot for him, but the Colts are going for it here at number 6. All right, I'm going to drop the Lions at 5 here. The Lions did not look great against the Vikings out there. Played back and forth with them most of the game. Defense was all right. Pass rush was solid, but it wasn't impactful. The Lions got dominated on offense, though. 5 of 17 on 3rd downs. They ran the ball for like 65 yards, 64 yards against the Vikings, and the Vikings really put out a good blueprint for stopping the Lions. Massive internal pressure on Jared Goff, and he was just not good. He was throwing those bounce pass balls out there on 3rd downs, couldn't get the clean pockets. Now, they were great on 4th down once again, and that's kind of really what kept them in this game. 2 touchdowns on 4th down, but besides that, they were getting stopped. The offense was sluggish, it wasn't clean, and guys were getting hurt left and right on the offensive line. This just isn't the juggernaut powerhouse that we saw last year from the Lions. There's not as much consistency in the run game, and they don't really have the 2-headed monster. They don't have like Montgomery and Gibbs has been a 2-headed monster. It's been really all Gibbs and not a whole lot of Montgomery. Did have a critical fumble for the Lions as well in this game. They get a field goal blocked. So sloppy performance all around for the Lions coming off a bye at home, but they're still right in the thick of it in the NFC North. Really interesting schedule down the stretch. It is not as tough as we thought going into the season, but still a tough schedule. Lions here at number 5. All right, we're bumping the Chiefs down to number 4. This was a really bad performance by the Kansas City Chiefs. Honestly, I don't take a whole lot of stock in the Bills Chiefs in the regular season, because what about the postseason? But still, this is a team that cannot afford to be losing games. They are currently outside the playoffs looking in. The offense has looked good, though, at times. Rashee Rice has been a big addition to him. And honestly, he may have been targeting Rice a little bit too much in the first half, but the protection is still bad. Now they're getting Simmons back after dealing with some issues. They have injuries on the offensive line. Mahomes was under complete duress all day. They cannot run the football, and they don't trade for a running back. There's a lot of concerns. I know Pacheco was hurt, but they can't run the football, and that's really going to force Mahomes to have to do everything. Travis Kelce is still getting old, winded, and fat out there, not helping. Where's Xavier Worthy at? What is Xavier Worthy doing? Like, is he just crying and like quit now that Rice is back? Hollywood has a nice catch, but gets short. They don't score the touchdown. Mahomes, the first time he's completed under 50% since he was like in high school or like college. He was a backup in college since the last time he completed under 50% of his passes. Kind of an insane stat. And the defense, they were okay. They did get a couple of stops late to get the ball backs for them, but they kind of got dominated on the ground. Josh Allen was nearly perfect out there, carving them up with the tight end. So a lot of red flags for the Chiefs, and they're in a tough division with a tough schedule. And like I said, on the outside looking in, don't love if they're going to have to go on the road for 4 playoff rounds or 3 playoff rounds to go back to the Super Bowl. So give me the Chiefs here at number 4. All right, Rams at number 3. The Rams are starting to cruise right now. Stafford hasn't thrown an interception since week 3. He has been lights out. Puka Nacua, of course, picks up another injury. He should be good to go. But the dynamic duo, man, Puka and Adams, man, they are just touchdown machines. And Matt Stafford is slinging the ball at an elite level right now. Now, the run game's been a little inconsistent. I would like to see more consistency out of that run game because this has been a very effective run team in the Sean McVay tenure over the last few years, and it really helps the offense out a ton. They're getting the tight ends involved a little bit more. They ran out of 13 personnel for the most they've ever have this past week, which is interesting to see. I like that. It could soften up defenses, make them have to commit to stopping the run here. And if they're going to actually distribute the ball to the tight ends, we could have something interesting going. And the Rams defense is very good. Good pass rush, good young secondary. They're doing enough out there. Huge game against the Niners this week. This is the test. Have to win this game if you're the Rams, if you want to win the NFC West out there. And the Rams are just such a good, experienced veteran playoff team that if they win the division, they get the home game. They got to go to Philadelphia. They got to go to Detroit. Or if those teams got to come to them, I trust the Rams in that spot. So the Rams playing great football right now here at number 3. All right, the Bills up to number 2. This was a great showing from Buffalo. Not only did they need to win this game just for vibes, I know people say it doesn't matter. They beat them 5 straight in the regular season, but you got to keep pace with the Patriots in the AFC East. You need that first round. You need to win the division. You need to fight for that 1 seed in the AFC, but the Bills defense showed that they can get stops. I thought the Chiefs were going to be able to roll out there and just kind of beat the Bills with whatever kind of approach they wanted to. At least score points. Maybe they don't win the game, but they at least score points. Nuh-uh, didn't happen. So the Bills actually showed us a little bit of something there. Now they're losing depth left and right on this defense, which welcome to the NFL. No shit. You're going to get hurt. It's going to be tough out there. But Josh Allen loves playing against the Chiefs. Maybe the Bills are too built to beat the Chiefs and they struggle against some other teams here, but they got James Cook more involved, ran the football again to get him. Get the tight ends in there. Dalton Kincaid is clearly the best throwing option for Josh Allen. I like Khalil Shakir. I thought Keon Coleman could have been better, but he hasn't been what I thought he was. I would have really liked for Buffalo to trade for a wide receiver before the deadline. They don't here, but I'm really impressed with the Bills. They needed this. Everybody has a couple of weird weeks in the NFL, so a huge bounce back spot for the Bills here. I think this is a very dangerous AFC team once again, and I'm a lot more confident than I was 2 weeks ago in this Buffalo team. Bills here at number 2. And finally, number 1, I'm going with the Philadelphia Eagles right now because everybody in the top 3 lost. Eagles also on a bye, so you don't really see them. But the vibes are a lot better in Philadelphia after those struggles. You know, it's kind of weird how the NFL season works. They keep A.J. Brown. Hopefully they can figure that stuff out. Devontae Smith is the number 1 option right now. But they finally got the running game going. They finally ran the ball under center, which they haven't done like all year, and they've been shit all year doing it. They actually were successful. Saquon did get hurt. He should be okay. But Tank Bigsby, they trade for Tank Bigsby. Tank Bigsby is a solid running back. He comes in there, has a big game. I know it's the shitty Giants a couple weeks ago, but there's a lot of options there. And Howie made some trades. Howie upgraded in the secondary. Howie upgraded in the defensive line. They're just making moves out there, getting a pass rush. It's just They're upgraded this defense, which was kind of the weird, shaky part of this team. The secondary has been really bad. I know, not a Jair Alexander guy, but at least it's a body that maybe can give you something out there. So Eagles at number 1 for now. Huge game at Green Bay in Lambeau Field. If they go out there and dominate, win that game, I'm going to really start thinking the Eagles are back now. If they get housed by the Packers, welcome, everything is chaos in the NFL again. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Who am I too high on? Who am I too low on? What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? How are you feeling about your team heading into week 10? If you haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We got daily sports content for you guys. If you want to support the channel more, sign up for a channel membership. You get all sorts of access to cool and exclusive perks. Help support me, allows me to keep making this great content for you guys every single day. Again, like, subscribe, and share. Check out the links down below, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.